Ancient ruins reveals truth, breaking through outdated religious structures to find truth through a personal, intimate connection with God via meditation. Imagine religion as an ancient ruin, once a grand structure, built with good intentions to house truth and connect people to the divine. Over time, though, some of those walls have crumbled, and layers of human-made rules, rituals, and interpretations have piled up like debris. In this scenario, the old ruins of religion represent rigid traditions or dogmas that might obscure the living essence of spirituality. They're not inherently bad, but they can sometimes trap us in a museum of ideas rather than leading us to a vibrant, first-hand experience of truth. Now, picture someone stepping past those ruins not to destroy them out of spite, but to seek something deeper. They turn to relationship and intimacy with God, which is less about following a script and more about a direct, personal encounter. Meditation becomes the tool here, a quiet space where the noise of the world, and even the echoes of those old ruins, fades away. It's like sitting down with a close friend, no intermediaries, no filters, just you and God, heart to heart. Through this stillness and openness, the scenario suggests that lies and deceptions start to unravel. These could be external falsehoods, like cultural myths or manipulative teachings, or internal ones, like self-doubt or illusions we cling to. Meditation, rooted in that divine relationship, acts like a light cutting through fog. Truth isn't handed over as a rulebook, it's revealed as a living reality, something you feel and know in your core because you're aligned with the source of all truth, God. So, what's the takeaway for people? This scenario teaches that truth isn't exclusive to any one system or structure, no matter how sacred it seems. Instead, it's found in the intimacy of connecting with God directly and Jesus, who is truth. Religion might point the way, like a map, but the destination, truth, comes alive through personal experience. Meditation, in this context, isn't just relaxation, it's a deliberate act of tuning in, stripping away the clutter, and letting God's presence expose what's real. Today, with so much noise, misinformation, competing ideologies, and even well-meaning but outdated traditions, this approach suggests that a relationship with God is the compass. It's not about rejecting faith heritage outright but moving beyond its limitations to meet God face to face. That's where the lies fall apart, and truth stands clear, not as a doctrine to memorize, but as a reality to live. Let's go deeper, then, into the heart of intimacy with God, specifically how it becomes a transformative space where He teaches us about sonship and our true identity. This builds on the idea of moving past the ruins of religion, but now we're exploring the why and how of that personal connection reshaping who we are at the core. Intimacy with God isn't just a feel-good moment, it's a relational crucible, a place where we're stripped down, known fully, and remade. Think of it like a child sitting at a parent's knee, not just to hear stories but to learn who they are in the family. In this case, God isn't a distant ruler or abstract force, He's a Father inviting us into His presence. That closeness, unmediated, raw, and real, is where sonship comes alive. Sonship isn't a title we earn, it's an identity we're given, and intimacy is how we receive it. Why does this matter? Because the world, and even the old ruins of religion, often hands us counterfeit identities. Maybe it's achievement, you're what you do, shame, you're your mistakes, or dogma, you're only valid if you conform. These are like ill-fitting clothes, restrictive and foreign. But when we enter intimacy with God, often through something like meditation, we're letting Him peel those layers away. In the quiet, where it's just us and Him, He speaks, not always in words, but in a deep, soul-level knowing, you are mine. You are my son, my daughter. That's sonship, not a theological concept, but a lived reality of belonging. Meditation here isn't passive, it's an act of surrender and listening. Picture it as clearing the stage of your mind, silencing the chatter of false selves, and letting God take center stage as the teacher. He doesn't just tell us we're His children, He shows us what that means. Maybe it's a moment of peace that says, "You don't have to strive, I've got you." Or a conviction that cuts through guilt, "Your past doesn't define you, I do." This is identity being forged, not in a sermon or a rule, but in the intimate exchange of being fully seen, and fully loved. Diving deeper, this process exposes why intimacy trumps everything else. Religion, at its best, can point to sonship, but it often stays external, rules to follow, rituals to perform. Intimacy, though, is internal, it's God breathing life into our being, rewriting the script of who we think we are. The lies we've believed, about worthlessness, abandonment, or needing to prove ourselves, can't stand up to His voice, saying, "You're enough because you're mine." That's the truth revealed, not as an abstract principle, but as a personal anchor. And here's the kicker, sonship isn't static. As God teaches us our identity in this intimate space, it unfolds. We learn we're not just children in name, but heirs, carriers of His nature, purpose, and authority. Meditation becomes the classroom where we practice living that out, aligning our thoughts and actions with who He says we are. It's why this relationship is the only way to truly see and know truth today, because truth isn't a list of facts, it's a person, and knowing Him reshapes us from the inside out. So, the deeper why is this: intimacy with God, where He teaches us sonship and identity, restores what the ruins can't. It's the difference between inheriting a house and living in it with the one who built it. Through that closeness, He dismantles the deceptions we've carried and hands us our true selves, sons and daughters, known, loved, and called to reflect Him. That's the truth we're after, and it's only found in the quiet, transformative embrace of the Father.